We like to be certain, we like to be sure, we like to be in the knowledge of the thing that we are indulged in, or the act, or whatever we are pursuing. We prefer to know it firsthand than for it to be unknown, than for us to be not sure. And so, how do we arrive at this certainty? How do we assure ourselves regarding our decisions, our relations, and our own self? How do we be self assured? Can certainty start from an assumption? Can being certain, can being sure of oneself begin with a predetermined notion? For us to be certain, we have to start by being uncertain, by not knowing anything. Since it is easy for anything to turn into a belief quickly, a belief is something that is not based on any fact or any rigorous inquiry. We have just conveniently told ourselves something, and that we call belief, that we believe in something, that we know something. Beliefs are devoid of any factual information, any actuality. For us to see and identify the difference between certainty and belief then becomes important. We should understand that whether we are operating from a belief, a certain assumption, a predetermined notion, or we are operating with certainty, and that certainty has been arrived at through inquiry, through understanding, through step by step inquiry of a fact, from moving from one fact to the another. That is how we have arrived. One has arrived on something that one is certain of, that one is sure of. So, certainty and belief are two separate things, and it is easy for us to be certain about our own beliefs, because to be certain about beliefs is a hard position which is backed by nothing but our own belief, which then becomes a circular logic, that I believe in something, and the reason why I believe in that thing is because I believe in it. And so one thing assures the other, and this mechanism becomes a circular validation mechanism. There is no room for doubt, for inquiry, for checking and knowing and understanding that how have we arrived on to these beliefs, to these assumptions, to these predetermined notions that we carry within. And the reason why we easily believe, we easily just prefer to assume something, it is precisely because being uncertain and being in the state of not knowing disgruntles us. It is not very comfortable psychologically to be in a state of not knowing. We prefer to know everything in advance, to already have a complete idea in our mind, a complete safe picture which we can lock in the terms that we understand, and anything that doesn't fit in our own understanding in the terms that we are familiar with, that becomes alien to us, and so it leaves room for all sorts of imagination, for all sorts of illusions about the unknown, about the thing which we are not certain of. Because being uncertain requires us to not hold any images, to not hold any predetermined conclusions and notions within, and that is very difficult. To not have a single picture, to not have a single belief, idea, to not have even an iota of certainty within us. And that is why we prefer to have beliefs, we prefer to have comforting notions where we can be sure, where we can be certain of something. And uncertainty is totally opposite. Uncertainty is not concerned with comfort, with beliefs that would dull us into a state of indolence. Uncertainty requires us to be vigilant, to be constantly seeing and looking, to be on our toes. When we not know something, it requires us to do work within ourselves, and which requires attention. Uncertainty and not knowing requires an unbreakable attention, requires a constant eye that is able to look, see, and not let anything pass by thoughtlessly, not let anything exist without any examination. That examining, that inquiring requires us to be aware of every moment, and to get away from all this work, to not be attentive, and to just simply be comfortable, which is almost to simply be off, to have a switch flipped where we do not use any inward faculty, is what we prefer, is why we prefer to have beliefs and assumptions. Because beliefs and assumptions are easy to keep, they do not require us to do any inward work, they do not require us to examine, to check, to be vigilant, to be aware. They do not require any of that. We can just have a belief, a hypothesis, and assume it to be true, and then we are done. We do not have to work anymore to check whether what we have assumed is true, is factual or not. We can now just rest and be comfortable with our own illusion that the thing that we have assumed in is that the thing that we have assumed is true. And then uncertainty and not knowing what is going to happen has an element of aliveness. When we are uncertain, when we do not know anything, it is then when we can truly inquire, when we can come upon something new, something fresh. To be uncertain is to be giving a life, giving a fresh response to life. To be uncertain is a responsibility towards oneself that we have to fulfill, because it is a response and hence a responsibility, and that is why a responsibility. Uncertainty is a responsibility that we have to fulfill towards our own self. And being certain, being already sure, having assumptions, having a picture already in our mind of the future, is being unresponsible, is not giving an adequate response to life. Uncertainty is by definition not planned, not fixed, it is not stationary. Our assumptions, beliefs, our notions are stationary. They are just stuck somewhere and do not have the ability to move, to be flexible, to be agile. To be uncertain, to be in the state of not knowing, requires agility, requires a suppleness of a mind that can deal with what life has to offer every moment, with what life has to show us in every passing second. And this agility is what makes life truly exciting. It is where all the fun of life really lies. The thrill, the excitement, any real fun is in not knowing, is in uncertainty. Because in the state of not knowing, I am not burdened by what I already know, by my already existing knowledge that I have. In the state of not knowing, I am absolutely free to look, to inquire, to question every single thing, to look at everything with fresh set of eyes. I do not exist in life with old habits, with old assumptions. My response to life in every moment would be new, because I wouldn't assume anything. There would be no beliefs about anything. I would be free of beliefs, and hence I would be agile, I would be flexible, I would be free to look everywhere. There would be no corner of life where I would turn my eye, where I would be blindsided, where I would resist and not be willing to go. I would go when I am uncertain and in the state of not knowing. I would walk every corner, every alley, every inch of the ground of life. There would be no experience unlived, and that is when I would be truly experiencing fully what life is. because in a state of belief, when we carry beliefs, when we already have predetermined notions, our experience of things is also limited. It is limited by our own knowledge, it is limited by our own beliefs. There is no full experience of the life when we already have assumptions and beliefs about how the thing is. Beliefs and assumptions, our notions, prevent us from a complete experience. They are a hindrance in experiencing life fully, directly. We would always be experiencing life through our set of beliefs, through our set of assumptions and notions that we carry. And when one is uncertain, when one is in the state of not knowing, one can truly, completely experience what life has to show to us. There is no resistance, there is no wall of belief, there is no guard of notion, there is no wall of predetermined idea or images through which one is seeing life. And it is the one who is uncertain, who does not know anything, can truly live. To have beliefs, to have ideas and images is to limit our life in a small circle in which we would function. Uncertainty and not knowing is breaking of this circle, is breaching the boundary, the limitation that the beliefs has imposed on our own life. And when we carry belief, when we have hundreds of images in our mind, when we imagine what it is to be uncertain, what it is to be in a state of not knowing, our imagination would also be plagued by these very beliefs. They would create a fear of unknown within us. But this fear of unknown is a hoax. What we do not know, how can we fear it? We only fear when we have an idea about something. It is those ideas about the thing that we have is fear. Fear is a translation, is a expression of our own assumptions, of our own beliefs. If we are uncertain, if we do not know anything, how can we fear the one that we have no ideas about? What we fear, what we resist are our own ideas, our own images that we have about the unknown, about which we are uncertain. What lies behind the wall would be only visible when we climb the wall, because staying inside the wall, we would only have images of what is outside the wall. It is only when we climb the wall we would be able to see what really lies behind it, outside of it. Being in the comfort of our own walls, what we will have are only images and ideas that would prevent us from climbing the wall. And we may have a comfortable position, a jolly good life within that wall, but at the same time it is the limitation of the wall that would prevent us from complete, limitless understanding of life. The fear that we have about the unknown, about being uncertain within, it is a projection of our own beliefs. That fear is something arbitrary that we have, that the mind has imagined. It is not the reality of the unknown. It has no factual basis. In a state of not knowing, in a state of uncertainty, we are completely unhinged, free to look, to experience, to see, to hear, to listen. When we already have beliefs and images, there is no listening, there is no seeing, there is no experiencing. Every moment of life is lived from an enclosed space where we just project our beliefs and believe in those projections, and then those projections just confirm our beliefs. And it is this circular life that we live when we do not leave any room for uncertainty and not knowing. We project something out of our own images, our own ideas, then get caught in those projections that we only have projected. And that is how our life is. Fearful, attached, resisting its own projections, its own ideas that are a production of the images it carry within. There is no reality in this equation. There is no space for factuality, for what is real in this way of living. Uncertainty and not knowing is true freedom. It is what makes us alive. There are no foundations that plagues the mind when the mind is uncertain and in a state of not knowing. And that is when one truly lives completely, fully,